Urban Meyer says no comment when asked about report he would retire after 2019 season. It's been quite the season for Ohio State and head coach. First there was the entire saga surrounding assistant and what, and when, that dominated headlines during the summer. That led to an eventual 3-game suspension and rumors that interim coach/offensive coordinator with the school after a good start to the season. Then, after numerous inquiries, Meyer revealed after the Buckeyes game against Indiana that he has to treat it just a few years ago. Naturally, those health issues prompted plenty of speculation that Meyer could be on his last legs in Columbus and, well, despite saying, very carefully, that he intends to, Meyer is not exactly putting out fires when it comes to his future with the program beyond next year. A report on Meyer had informed athletic director that he would not be coaching the Buckeyes beyond the 2019 season and that he would address his future after the team's Big Ten title game on Saturday night. Speaking a press conference on the day before the game in Indianapolis though, Meyer gave a quick no comment when asked about said report and refused to go into any details beyond the game itself. While other head coaches certainly would have seized upon the opportunity to deny a report like that, something Meyer did quite a bit this past summer, it's a bit interesting that he chose to simply no comment his way out of the situation. As a result, the post-game scene at Lucas Oil Stadium tomorrow night and any press conferences leading up to Ohio State's bowl game may very well become must-see TV given the potential for Meyer to address his long-term future at the school. Use whatever adjective you want to describe the 2018 Pac-12 championship game, but chances are it will be a synonym of ugly. And it won't matter one bit to fans of number 11 Washington as they topped number 17 Utah by a very indicative 10-3 score on Friday night to capture the league title for a second time in 3 years and book their trip to the Rose Bowl game for the first time since 2001. As one would expect in a game featuring two of the best defenses west of the Mississippi, offense was hard to come by in this one, both because of what defenders were doing and what offensive skill players were not. Huskies quarterback was again a bit of a liability as a passer with one interception, and several others that could have been picked, but did wind up making a few key plays to move the sticks in the second half and finish the game with 187 yards and a few key scrambles as well. He combined with 71 yards rushing, and 28 on the ground, to help Washington dominate time of possession nearly 2-1 in the game. However, certainly a winning formula given they could lean on their defense pretty much all night. And what a defensive performance it was. The Huskies held the Utes to only 188 yards in the game and recorded 3 turnovers to go with 2 sacks and numerous pressures. Defensive back also all but won UW the game in the third quarter with one of the most remarkable pick sixes you'll ever see as he snatched the ball off an opposing wideout to return it 66 yards for the game's only touchdown. While many in purple will note how good the team is on that side of the ball, there was also plenty of issues getting anything going for the team in red as a 53-yard field goal that barely cleared the crossbar was the only bright spot of the game for the Utes. Quarterback must have used up all his second-half magic last week against BYU as it was rough from start to finish for the youngster in throwing for 137 yards and a trio of interceptions all on consecutive drives across the third and fourth quarters. Tailback chipped in with 37 yards rushing to barely outpace receiver and his 14 yards on the ground. Crazy as all those numbers were, the team still had a chance to tie things up in the final few minutes before turning the ball over on downs. While the ending wasn't quite what Utah wanted at Levi's Stadium, it was still a remarkable campaign for as he guided his team to their first South Division title, a victory over their in-state rival and a 9-4 record in the regular season despite losing their entire starting backfield down the stretch. Washington will wind up with the ultimate prize in the end, however, doing just enough on offense to eke out the victory and capture the school's second Pac-12 championship under head coach. While the league was knocked out of the college football playoff weeks ago, a trip to Pasadena is nothing for any of these schools to overlook and will be a very welcome sight at the beginning of next year when the Huskies take the field at the Rose Bowl for the first time in 18 years. Let's just hope UW can figure out an offense between now and taking the field against Northwestern, Ohio State or Michigan in January. Northern Illinois was out of it. Down 29-10, the Huskies had just thrown an interception and looked like they were about to get run out of Ford Field by Buffalo in the MAC championship game. Never say never when it comes to #MAction however. The Huskies used a 35-yard touchdown pass in the final 70 seconds to cap off a remarkable second-half rally to beat the Bulls 30-29 on Friday night in a thrilling start to conference championship weekend in college football. After a lackluster first half in the school's 7th title game appearance in the last 9 years, QB and company eventually found their groove on offense to turn a likely loss into a wild win. The signal caller wound up throwing for an even 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, moving past an absolute arm punt of an interception early on to find Brown deep for the game-winning score and leading the team in rushing with 58 yards for good measure. Not to be outdone, Huskies star pass rusher also flashed plenty in the game with numerous quarterback hurries and added 2 sacks in an impact performance down the stretch from the conference's Player of the Year. The rally stunned many on the Buffalo sidelines given their big early lead and the possibility of securing the school's second conference title ever and first in a full decade. Quarterback threw for 252 yards and a pair of touchdowns on the big stage, but was harassed quite a bit by Smith in the second half and failed to move the sticks much after emerging from halftime. He did make several impressive throws in tight windows while hooking up with star receiver, 124 yards, 2 scores, but the two just couldn't get in position for a late field goal to nab the win in a game they controlled for much of the night. Bulls tailback did set a school freshman record for rushing yards in a season after recording 72 on the ground in the game and found the end zone once. Teammate added another 72 yards and also had a TD, as the program set a single-season record for points scored and yards rushing and coming up just short of an 11th win. As a result, New remains Buffalo's boogeyman as the Huskies are the only program in the MAC the Bulls have not beaten since joining the conference, dropping to 0-11 overall since moving to the FBS level. A berth in either the Camellia Bowl or Dollar General Bowl likely awaits the team, which will no doubt be wondering what could have been despite reaching double-digit wins for the first time ever. Group may also be left wondering how that game came about but won't argue with the final score, which gives the program their 5th MAC title overall and 2nd with their head coach. The team had started slow to begin the year, ran off 6 straight wins and then were slumping coming into the weekend but used a little bit of magic when it mattered most to wind up as top dogs yet again as college football's first championship trophy was handed out this season in Detroit. Pac-12 after dark? Well, the lights are certainly out on offense as a low-scoring Pac-12 championship hit halftime with number 11 Washington leading number 17 Utah by a paltry 3-0 score. Though both programs sport 2 of the conference's best defenses, the first 2 quarters from Levi's Stadium was an awful lot about 2 offenses not being able to get out of their own way, much less move the ball on a consistent basis. Huskies quarterback did have 94 yards through the air but threw an interception off a deflection and nearly had 2 other passes picked off in a bit of a hectic performance for the veteran leader. His inability to be a consistent downfield threat hampered the run game as a result, with often facing a loaded box while he clawed his way to 50 yards rushing. Normally speedy backup was also unable to get much going either with a total of 17 yards of offense on 4 touches. As lackluster as some of those numbers are, the Utes would love to change places. Their offense recorded a trio of 3 and outs, managed just 2.4 yards per play in the first half and picked up just 2 first downs. The end result was squad badly losing the time of possession battle and looking like they were unaware of what the stakes in the game were. Signal caller, fresh off a wild rally against BYU last week, was unable to find much at all beyond running out of bounds on 3rd down and threw for only 37 yards while taking 1 sack in the half. Wideout was the team's leading with 14 yards on the ground, which was indicative of just how hard it was to move the ball on the ground. Utah does get the ball to start the second half and will be hoping for some magic out of the locker room once again as they look to add the conference championship trophy to their first Pac-12 South title this season. A Rose Bowl berth is on the line for the victor in this one and you can bet that will be emphasized quite a bit by the coaching staffs on each side in hopes of injecting a little life into the conference championship race on Friday night. While there was some question as to whether it would happen, is indeed set to return as head coach at New Mexico for the 2019 season. In a statement released by the school on Friday evening, the program confirmed that the former Notre Dame head coach and commentator will remain leading the Lobos for an 8th season running the option in Albuquerque. After meeting with Coach Davey, both he and I are looking forward to the 2019 season. Recruiting is already in full swing, said athletic director. Since taking over in 2012, the team has set records in the classroom, won a division title and qualified for 2 bowl games. Neither Coach Davey nor I were satisfied with the results of last season. Coach Davey and his staff, as well as our department, are striving to make the 2019 season a success, and that process has already started. Coach Davey wants to be at New Mexico and wants nothing more than a program that our university and our fans can be proud of. He is committed to working tirelessly to return UNM to the level of success in 2015 and 2016. We both are excited for the upcoming 2019 season. Davey is 33-54 overall at the school and has gone 3-9 the past 2 seasons after a high-water mark of 9-4 back in 2016. However, he following several investigations into the program and their head coach's conduct. Finances may have played a role in keeping him around as, a hefty sum for a school,